yeah, we get on this, we line up, get on this plane. We're carrying all this gear. We're allowed to carry on, and, had to fit in, basically it's carry-on size stuff. So all we have is our bag of our ECW gear and a carry-on. And all our other gear is packed up and palletized. It's in the plane with us, but it's palletized. So we get in, and they start, and we're packed in like sardines. And here's the problem with the LC-130. You don't get a real seat. You get to sit on a net. If you've never sat in a C-130 net, it is not the most comfortable ride in the world. Even wearing ECW padding and gear, right? And then we sat there for a good 2 hours, at least 2 hours, waiting to take off. I don't know what was going on, but we sat and sat and sat in this plane. And then they would move a little bit, and then they'd sit. They'd move a little bit, and then they'd sit. And then finally, we got on the real runway, and we took off. This thing is so loud, you can't talk to the person beside you. You can't, there's no way to communicate. You're wearing earplugs. So you're basically in amongst 30 other people that you can't communicate with. You can if you yell, but who wants to yell for 8 hours? Because of how long the flight is. So you play games, you sleep, you contemplate how the universe began. You just pass the time because you got 8 hours. And then comes towards the end of the flight, and it's starting to get cold. And because you can see the ice forming on the window. You look out the window because you have a porthole window, not a real window. And it's behind you, so you have to get up and turn around. But there, several thousand feet below you was this field of ice. And you're like, we're here. We're in Antarctica. There's all this ice. And I took some pictures, and it was amazing. And then they say, get ready for landing, and everybody's putting their ECW gear back on, getting their boots and everything laced up and ready to go. And I'm worried. I'm really worried because the ice. And as I said earlier about my knee, I'm seriously concerned because I've never been on this much ice before. Here's the good thing. It's not really, it is ice, but it's not the same ice that we're used to. And yes, we do have frozen water, but that's not what this is. This is literally ice crystals that have fallen. And on the tarmac, they're just packed down so that you can land with sleds. So my fears were a little unwarranted, but it is still a little slippery. It's snow. So I'm very careful walking out. And then we see this thing. And on the side it says Ivan the Terrabus. And Ivan the Terrabus is this transport thing. It has wheels that are taller than me and about 4 feet wide. This thing is massive. It is so huge. I'm like, how can the ice support this thing? Turns out we're on 70 feet of ice out on this runway. We're actually out on the Ross ice shelf when we land. I didn't know this at the time. And so we board this Ivan and Terra bus. You need to look it up. I got some pictures up of it on the website. And it's an amazing thing. And you're riding along. You're talking to people that are on the way. There was Matt, the friend that I mentioned earlier, and there was some Kiwi folks, and we were talking about our accents and all this other stuff. That it was just meaningless banter, basically trying to get to know people. And so we're riding along on this ice shelf for a good 30, 40 minutes, and then we see the Rock, which is Ross Island, which is where McMurdo Station is. The first thing we see is this big bunch of green buildings. And that is Scott Base, which is the New Zealand base. And this just huge hill that we have to go up. And I'm like, how is this thing going to go up this hill? And it's this big brown hill, and there's ice everywhere. So it goes up this hill and goes over what we call Arrival Heights. And there is McMurdo Station, which when you look at it, you're like, this place looks like it's been built piece by piece over the last 60 years. And in fact, it has. Every building was built during a certain decade, apparently, because that's how they built the station. A little bit of a time. But you come over, and not only do you see McMurdo Station, but you see the continent of Antarctica. And this is people talk about awe-inspiring sights. And, this is a nice, clear, sunny day. And to see those mountains, like Mount Discovery, and things like that. I've seen mountains all my life. I've lived in mountains all my life. There's nothing that compares to the mountains of Antarctica in any shape or form. You just can't. It is indescribably, amazingly beautiful to look at, because you've got, at the time, the sea ice was still here, so it looked like this vast sea of ice and this huge bunch of mountains. And I mean, just as far as the eye could see in both directions, mountains. That is Antarctica. That is my first view of this amazing continent. And then they took us out of Ivan, took us over to the chalet for our orientation. And then that was fun and interesting. Learned a lot. And then it was time to go to our room and grab something to eat. Now, dinners here are pretty good. I was anticipating decent food because all we'd had during the flight over were sandwiches and chips and nothing really substantial. I get there and it's like 8 o'clock. Well, the galley closes at 7. So all that's left is pizza. So my first dinner in Antarctica was pizza. Not a bad pizza. It was okay. Better than school pizza, but it certainly wasn't, DiGiorno. Yeah, I know DiGiorno. But it's handmade pizza, so it's pretty good. And then I go to my room, which is shared with 2 other guys, and that's the end of my day. I'm exhausted. I don't even feel like I'm packing. I just put my bed together and go to sleep. And that's where I'm going to end this first episode, is by ending on my first day in Antarctica. If you have questions, you can give me a voicemail on the Anchor app, which is where I'm hosting this podcast. Or you can email me at podcast@sparkyoниce.xyz. You can check my website out, sparkyonice.xyz, and the YouTube channel, where I will be posting YouTube stuff occasionally, Sparky on Ice. And I'll see you guys next time.